Okay, so remember, gross profit is what the business makes before any operating expenses have been deducted. To calculate the gross profit, we must work out the cost of sales figure, which we then deduct from the revenue figure. To calculate the cost of sales figure, we must take the opening inventory plus the purchases and deduct the closing inventory. So when we do the calculation, we should be doing 8,680 plus the purchases figure of 61,068, and then deduct the closing inventory figure of 7,840. This will give us a cost of sales figure of 61,908. Now that we've worked out the cost of sales figure, we can calculate the gross profit by deducting the cost of sales from the sales revenue figure. So we would do 112,560 minus 61,908, which will give us a gross profit figure of £50,652. Moving on to question 1A part 2, now that we have calculated the gross profit, this will enable us to calculate the profit for the year. To calculate the profit for the year, all we need to do is the gross profit figure from question 1A part 1, which was 50,652, and deduct all the operating expenses, which is 39,396. So if we perform the calculation of gross profit, which is 50,652, and we deduct the operating expenses, which are 39,396, we'll be left with profit for the year, otherwise known as net profit, of 11,256. Okay, so question 1B is asking us to calculate the gross profit margin. So, the key term being gross profit margin. So, our answer will ultimately be expressed as a percentage. Okay, so, remember, the gross profit margin shows us how much the business earns for every pound of sales. So the formula for calculating the gross profit margin is simply the gross profit, which you worked out in the previous question, divided by the sales figure, and then to transfer it into a percentage we must multiply it by 100. So the calculation that we perform will be gross profit, which we worked out already to be 50,652, which we then divide by the sales figure, which is 112,560. We multiply it by 100, which then gives us a gross profit margin of 45%. So this means that for every pound of sales that the business is receiving, we are earning 45 pence. Question 1C is asking us to calculate the profit in relation to revenue ratio, otherwise known as the net profit margin. So, we've already worked out the profit for the business for the year, which we worked out and calculated to be 11,256. Let's put this in the margin so we come back to it and use that later. So, to work out the net profit margin, or the profit in relation to revenue ratio, it's very similar to that for the gross profit margin, but we just use the profit for the year figure divided by the sales and again we multiply it by 100, which is going to give our answer as a percentage. So we worked out the profit for the year previously, which was 11,256, which we then divide by the sales figure again, which is 112,560. We multiply that by 100, so the profit in relation to revenue ratio for the business is 10%.